Good morning or afternoon. It's morning on the West Coast. It's actually technically morning right now on the East Coast too, although we are creeping towards noon, so that would make it afternoon, right? Yep. So anyway, very, 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 very important walk and talk today. Maybe the most insightful walk and talk that we've had since going all the way back, if you will, to the time before the election, when I was coming out and explaining to you, long before anybody else, including anybody on Fox News, how it is that the narrative concerning the Electoral College was all baloney. In fact, I had come out and told you two things, if you recall. I had told you, it was on a Monday, I think, and I said on Tuesday, tomorrow, I guarantee you that tomorrow you will see who's beeping at me. No, they're not beeping at me. They're beeping at one of their illegal friends, I guess. So anyway, it's gonna be a little noisy. I got landscapers coming up here. But anyway, whatever this thing is, truck without a muffler. Where are the liberals? Where's all the pollution hounds? Anyway, I had told you on a Monday that the next day, if you recall, that there would be a huge change in narrative, that it was all going to be about the Electoral College. And that's exactly what happened the very next day. Then I also told you that Trump, this was like 2 days prior, Trump would actually take the lead in his first national major poll. And that wound up coming out true too. And there's a couple of reasons why I knew this stuff. We'll get to that later if we have time. It's not as important. But those were pivotal walk and talks, because I think for those of you who didn't know me for a long time, you sort of said, well, this guy's got his finger on the pulse of the media and the American people, what's taking place. And rightfully so, I do. And I always knew that Trump would win this election. I've also led you through other different things. Remember the whole crazy counts done by Stein and all this other different stuff. I have always led you to that point. And you know that I will be highly critical of the president. Sometimes I may even go a little bit overboard, according to Miss Mary. But that's because my passion for the American people and to solve these problems that we have, you know, it's pretty much got my every thought every single day. And because I have the unique experience of traveling the country and actually exploring some of this stuff on my own, I always understood what it was that people were thinking. And that's why when I hear people say, you know, you could be Brit Hume or whoever it may be on Fox or any one of the stations, oh, Trump tapped into something that the rest of us missed. I wasn't missing it. I knew exactly what he was tapping into. And the only way you could really tap into that is if you go out and you meet people. And I don't mean in a studio like most of these guys. And it's not a knock on somebody like a Sean Hannity. I think the world of Sean. But he sits at his desk, you know? And there's a difference between sitting at your desk and reading your emails and your messages and going out and actually meeting with people and listening to what they have to say. And that's why I always knew Trump was tapping into something. Okay. All that said, I let the crowd grow up here. I guarantee you that by the time we're done off the walk and talk today, you'll come away hearing things from me that you haven't heard yet. And last night, when all this Comey stuff was going down at 9 o'clock, I broke my little rule. I watched Fox News last night because of what was going on here. I watched Tucker at 8. I switched over to CNN at 9, and I went back to Fox and watched Hannity at 10. And all along for 3 hours, my poor wife was like, will you please give me your perspective on this? I said, no, we're going to wait for the end because I want you to watch this with me and realize the fact that everything these guys talk about 2 days from now is what I tell you at 11:01 Eastern time. She said, okay. And she said, boy, you hit it. Okay. First, what we're going to do, we're going to break down this Comey thing in a couple of different ways. First, we're going to break it down from the way the Democrats look at this. And I want to debunk their entire argument from the get-go, and then talk to you about why and how this is so important, brilliant, and an opportunity that we have not had. Okay? So, because I think what happened yesterday could be, if he's smart, the turning point in this presidency. I absolutely believe it can be the turning point. It was the most significant, important day, what happened yesterday. But first, let's take a look at the Democrats. And remember, like I said, I watched CNN, as painful as it was, from 9 o'clock to 10 o'clock, simply so this way I could digest everything that I knew that these people would be saying, and they were spot on. They didn't let me down. Okay. The argument they're going to make to you, and are making, and they're going to keep on pressing on this argument, is the fact that the timing of the firing of Comey all points back to Trump is running scared. Comey was onto something with this Russian investigation. Now, what I'm about to say to you is nothing new. You've probably heard this already. I know you've heard this if you've been watching Fox or anything this morning. But that narrative only falls true on those who have crap in their ears and only want to hear what they want to hear. It all falls true on people who are ignorant and have no clue about how anything works in this country, especially investigations. You know, I like to water things down for you, so let me water down for what they're saying. They are saying that because the police chief got fired, that cops can't write traffic tickets anymore. What? Yeah, they're saying because the head coach got fired, that the players on the field could no longer play the plays. What are you talking about, Dennis? Exactly, it's ridiculous. Comey leaving by force, or by, if he were to just resign tomorrow for reasons of, God forbid, he was ill, the investigation will continue to continue. It's not going to miss a beat. Anything that they've collected in their little folders, which so far has amounted to zero, because if it did amount to something, they wouldn't be pussyfooting around like they are. And they've already come out and said that they haven't had anything to point back to Trump. Not a single thing. They are empty. They are at zero. They've got nothing. And so the Democrats are sitting here telling you, I mean, some of them are actually calling for Trump's head, because he did what he has the right to do. He fired Comey. He got rid of him. And so, hold on one second. Got these little kids here. I don't want to subject them to this crap before they have to. Anyway, so it's just not true. This investigation will not miss a beat. Trump knows this. Anybody with common sense knows this. Even the Democrats, they know this. But it's the only card they have to play. They are panicked. They are panicked about this. Okay, now that you take that whole narrative that this was done as a way to just stymie and stop the entire investigation, now that you realize that that's just completely moronic, now let's take a look at how this all unfolded, why it all unfolded, but more importantly, where it goes from here if smart minds play the right cards and the right hand. Okay, first of all, I do not think you could look at this as a whole. I think you have to look at this individually. This is one of those times where each component has to be looked individually. What do I mean by that? Again, you know how I always use my examples for you. It's like you can buy a house, and you buy the house collectively with all the rooms in it, but you go shopping in different places for different things, right? You go furniture shopping to the furniture store, and you go for bathroom stuff. You don't go to Levitt's for bathroom faucets, right? So you have to look at this each in its own compartment. We start with Comey. There is something that Comey did back in July, which to me tipped his hand. And nobody ever talked about it. And they didn't say it last night. Not one time in 3 hours did not one person mention this. When Comey stood up and he had that impromptu press conference that just shocked the Democrats. Okay, baloney. baloney it shocked the Democrats. That was completely 110% orchestrated. And now what we'll never be able to know unless Comey comes out and tells you is that for some reason, I don't know what he was offered, I don't know what he was afraid of, I don't know what influenced him, but everybody, Obama, Hillary, Loretta Lynch, they all knew he was getting up to have that conversation. Nobody does what he did. He broke the rules so severely, that's why everybody was in such shock. Okay, and here's how he tipped his hat. He sat there and said, what I'm about to say, nobody knows that I'm about to say what I'm about to say. Look, that's like me saying to you before every sentence, let me be honest with you. Let me be honest with you. Let me be honest with you. You ever hear somebody say that all the time? You know, after a while you say, why are you saying that? Why are you preluding every sentence with, let me be honest with you? You want to know why you're saying that? Because consciously, you know that you're usually telling a dishonest thing. So that's why. So let me be honest with you. Let me be honest with you. Yeah, no. When he tipped his hat to me. Maybe not anybody else. Maybe they missed it. But when he said, I'm going to say something that nobody knows, what he was doing was he was forecasting. He knew what was going to come back at him. He knew what was going to come back at him. And he did that to save the other people that he was protecting. No question whatsoever. You do not lay out all of the things that Hillary Clinton did, and you make an unbelievable argument, maybe the greatest argument I've ever seen anybody make against somebody's criminal activity, and then conclude with but I don't think we should be moving forward with any sort of prosecution. First of all, that's not his position. And he knows that. This is not a stupid man. This is a man who is very articulate, very educated, very proud. He would never, ever break protocol unless there was an absolute reason for him to break protocol. That's what I don't know. I don't know whether or not he thought he was going to get political points. I don't know whether or not he absolutely at that point totally believed Hillary Clinton would be president and he would have a tremendous amount of upside. We will not know because we were not in those meetings. But you can tell when a man does something like that, or a woman does something like that, there's something peeled behind it. Now, here's where it gets completely tricky. Fast forward to just before the election, and Comey comes out and says he's going to reopen the investigation. Shocks everybody. Nobody more than President Trump, or I should say candidate Trump. So candidate Trump is sitting there and he's saying, oh, wait a second. How did I get this gift? This guy must not want to see Hillary. He must want to see me. No. This is the part of Comey where it's all about him. There's one thing about Comey you can't deny, and if you've been listening, everybody's saying the same thing. The guy is all about him. He's a drama seeker. He's the guy who likes to be in the spotlight. You know, he's supposed to be, it's like the coach, right? I go back to the football game. You know, it's like the coach telling the quarterback, no, you're not going to hold a press conference today. You're not going to talk about your passes. I'm going to do it. The guy who needs to be front and center. A guy like Bill Belichick, who's a real leader, he stands back and says, Tom Brady's the guy who's going to do the talking. Not Comey. Comey loves that spotlight. He loves to be in it. Now, understanding that psyche, understanding that mindset that he has, something happened to this guy from July till October that pissed him off. Either he recognized the fact that he wasn't going to get what he was told he was going to get. Either he realized the fact that he got used like a cheap violin. Something happened. And here's another thing which I had said to my wife last night. In addition to something like that happening, here's the part that nobody, not the press, not you, not me, not Hannity, not nobody but Comey understands. When you pull what you pulled, like Comey pulled in July, you lose the respect of everybody, okay? So the people who are in the FBI, the people who are proud, because remember, the FBI is an institution. It's one of our greatest institutions worldwide. It is highly regarded. It is something special. If you're an FBI agent, I mean, this is how it goes. It used to be if you said you were an FBI, I'd be like, wow, your dad's FBI? Now it's, my dad's FBI. Oh, goodness. Your dad's FBI? Really? That's where it's gone. You think the FBI likes this. I've dealt with guys in the FBI. They're proud. They are proud. So you take a guy like Comey, who takes the FBI and in one swoop absolutely degrades it in front of the entire world. This guy went to work. Guys who used to say, "Good morning, Jim," now went like this. And he slowly but surely recognized that he was going to be the guy who was going to be chopped. He was going to be chopped by Hillary Clinton. He was going to be cut off. He was going to be gone. And there was no way he was going to have his legacy. No way he was going to have his legacy be the guy who walked around that nobody wanted to play golf with, that nobody wanted to associate with, that nobody would call his whoever anymore and give him the respect that they used to give. Everybody couldn't stand this guy, and he recognized, maybe he's just, he was able to finally see the forest away from the trees and said, wait a second, screw this. And that's where his pride and his, if you want to call it, manhood, stood up and said, no way, I still got there's meat on this bone. I'm going back in and saying we're doing what we're doing. That is what forced that guy. It wasn't anything else. I'm solid on it that that's what had happened. And that's why he did what he did. Now, there will forever be the argument on the left and from Hillary that is what cost her the election. I say baloney. I have never met a person to this day with all the emails that I get every single day. If you were with me last week, I showed you on my computer. I got 49,000 unread emails. I go through them constantly. I have never in my day come across one person to say, I changed my vote because they reopened that email investigation. Never, ever, ever. By that point, people knew who they were voting for. They knew who they were voting against, and that was it. That was it. Okay? So, they're forever going to make it that narrative. But it's not the case. It's not the case at all. So now we switch over to Trump. Why didn't Trump fire this guy? Why did Trump leave this guy in? I'll tell you why he did. Very simple. You have to understand the personality of President Trump, or I should say Donald Trump. At 70 years old, 71 years old, his personality is what it is. And here is what happened. When that crap happened to Trump in the middle of July, and he watched and he saw how corrupt that was, what happened to him, he turned it on, man. He turned it on because he felt as if Comey and everybody in D.C. were just going to screw him even worse than he thought he was going to get screwed from the beginning. And that's why he sent out the tweet, and Comey's this and Comey's that, and he was spot on. He was 110% spot on. But then when it happened 2 weeks prior to the election, when Comey reopens the investigation, he threw Trump for a curveball, man. Trump was like, what? He threw everybody for a curveball because nobody looked at it the way I looked at it right there. Nobody looked at it. Comey was saving himself. He wasn't saving an election. He wasn't anything about nausea, about the American people. He didn't give a damn. He cared about one person, Comey. That was it. And the other part we don't know, he may have been sticking it to somebody. Maybe Hillary Clinton. Who knows? All I know is it had nothing to do with Trump. And Trump sat there. If you watch Trump's body language, Trump's a very easy guy to read. I know when he's not giving you the complete straight. I know when he's selling himself on something. And I know when he feels it. When he feels it, he will never look down. He will never look around. He sells it with conviction. He looks straight ahead. And when he stood up there in that speech, I don't know where he was, one of his rallies, and he praised how brave it was of Comey and how he did the right thing or whatever maybe, Trump really believed, because ultimately Trump is a good person. He's a good person inside. He ultimately believed that Comey came to see his wrongs were wrong and said, let me right this before the election. It had nothing to do with Comey finding the better self in him. It had to do with Comey saving his ass. And that's where Trump made, if you want to call, mischaracterization. That's probably the best word I could come up with. The mischaracterization of Comey, about why Comey did what he did. But who cares? But why it's important in terms of how the story goes is the fact that now Trump sees this guy and says, yeah, He's not a bad guy after all. Look what he did. You know what I mean? He came around. Everybody's got a chance. Let's have him come around. Okay. Now you add the next layer in, which nobody talked about last night, and nobody's going to ever say this to you. As stuff started going on with each passing week after the election, Trump didn't think about Comey anymore. Trump didn't think about emails anymore. And Trump wasn't certainly thinking about Russia, because he doesn't have anything in the back of his mind to worry about with Russia. It's completely out of sight, out of mind. He hasn't done anything. So to him, if you haven't done anything, why is it going to be weighing heavy? He's not giving Comey even a thought. This guy is sitting there, don't you remember? He's sitting there at Trump Tower every single day, cameras all over the place, people coming in and out of there like it's a subway station, interviewing people to try to create the single best cabinet he can. That's all that guy was consumed with. None of us, except for Barack Obama, Bush, Clinton, Carter. Those are the only men alive who can absolutely understand what it is that Donald Trump was going through in November, December, and January leading up to the inauguration. Trying to get that team in place has got to be brutal. It sucks up every single minute of your day. The last thing you're going to be doing is thinking, should I fire Comey? That's not on your list. Please. So when these Democrats make the narrative, try to say, why did he get rid of him before then? Why did he wait for this? Why all the time? I'll tell you why. Because he wasn't thinking about it. And there was absolutely no reason to think about it. Now, you will also remember yours truly, okay, another little like this. 2 days after the election, when everybody else was talking about how it was that Hillary lost and this and that, I said to you, Russia. Remember I said this to you. Russia. They will play a Russia narrative forever. It is the one thing that they believe they can paint him in a corner on. Russia. I said it to you. I remember people coming back. Oh no, it's the tax returns. No, Russia. They're going to try because they pin him. It's such a big topic. He's damned if he does and he's damned if he doesn't. He's pinned in a corner. And to a certain degree, brilliant thinking on the Democrats' end. I'm going to go this way because I think we run into issues that way. Okay, right? All right. This is why what happened yesterday is so important on so many levels. Let's look at yesterday. Why did he ultimately fire Comey? Comey's not good at his job. Comey is not good at his job. If you look at all the things that have taken place under Comey's leadership, it is a disaster. And he was put there by Obama. He is an absolutely horrible leader. He is self-serving. He's all about him. He's the drama guy, like I told you. And on top of that, I don't think this guy could find his buttocks with two hands, let alone a terrorist. He has botched almost everything he's touched. And so now you got this new guy coming in, this deputy attorney general, who was 94-6 voted in. Getting voted in 94-6 is almost the equivalent of getting voted in unanimously. All right? Guy gets in. He's an Obama dude. I mean, he's an Obama dude. He takes a look. He says, what's going on here? Let me see what's going on with the FBI. All this Russia stuff. All this hacking stuff. All this election stuff. God knows what else it is that we've got on here. He sits down, he takes a look, and he makes an assessment. And he comes back and says, this is not the guy we want leading the FBI. Now, Trump, he's damned. They said this last night on Hannity, and I agree with them 100%. Trump's damned if he does and damned if he doesn't with liberals. If he fires them, he's damned because he's trying to cover something up. If he doesn't fire him, and God forbid something happens to this country because the FBI missed it, it's going to be, why didn't you fire him? He's stuck. So what does Trump do? Trump does the right thing. Trump does the right thing and gets rid of him. Now think about this. Think about this. You've got the Democrats saying that you're doing this, Trump, because of the timing of a Russia investigation. You think Trump doesn't know that's coming out? You don't think Trump knows that he's going to get bombarded by the left press? He has been tackled to the ground over everything. The guy can't eat a steak without being called a cow hater. The guy can't do, if he were to solve world peace tomorrow, they would say, why haven't you fixed the fact that there's no water on the moon? No matter what it is, they want him down. But here's what he did yesterday. And I don't know if he knows he did it when he did it. Maybe they do know. But regardless, he just opened himself up to the greatest opportunity that he's had, that all of us have had. When he rid of Comey yesterday, not only did he do the right thing as a president and for national security and for safety and you name it, but he just completely made it so this way he can change the narrative for the next 4 years. Absolutely. What do you mean, DML? One of the greatest mistakes that Trump has made so far, and I understand why he made it, and it goes back to what I said before about him being a loving guy. One of the biggest mistakes he made was not taking advantage of going back against Hillary. In his mind, and this is because Trump's got a big heart, in his mind, Hillary wasn't worth going after. I go back to what I said to you before. Why didn't he fire Comey? Well, because he's got 9,000 things on his plate, including having to hire all these people for prominent positions. He's got ISIS chopping off people's heads. He's got people who can't get work. He's got illegals coming in through the border like it's, Swiss cheese. He's got more problems to deal with. Not to mention the fact, keep in mind that he's been getting now security clearance notices every single day since he was clearly, goes back into the summer. So he also knows about all the dangers of North Korea and everything else that you and I weren't even thinking about in November, December. And he sits there and says, wait a second, I'm going to use resources after Hillary. He sees how painful it is for her that she lost the election. He sits there and he says, you know what? She punished herself enough. I'm not going to put resources to this thing. She's going to fade away anyway. What could she possibly do now? She can't run for anything else. She's done. And he pockets it away. Plus, he remembers that at a point in his life, he actually was friendly with the Clintons. Lets it go. It's his heart speaking. His heart, not his brain. His brain should have told him that this is a ruthless woman who's married to a ruthless man who had the gall to stick a cigar up a young girl's private parts. That these people don't think like rational people. That's where he made his mistake. And now what happens? Now she's back. She's back. She's back stumping, and she's back slamming him. And now he says, you know what? Screw me once, shame on you. Screw me twice, shame on me. This is what he should be saying right now. If Donald J. Trump wants to really make America great again, if Donald J. Trump wants to go down as one of the best presidents this country has ever seen, not only does he get a new FBI director in place, but the Trump administration and every single last law enforcement that can go after the Clintons goes after them. They reopen the emails, they reopen Benghazi, they reopen everything. And they could reopen it based on the fact that the guy who was sitting there in the FBI was no good at his job, and that it would be an injustice to the American people if they did not go and try to make sure that all of the stones were left unturned, because this was a guy who was completely incompetent. And if that means you got to come after me again, for somebody else for Russia, I'm wide open to it. Once Trump does that, it's lights out. It's lights out. Because here's the thing. Everything that he has tried to do so far as President of the United States has gone sort of flat. With the exception of new jobs being created, which I'm sorry, as much as I love him, you know what I mean? It's not all because of him. At the end of the day, businesses hire people. Yes, his deregulation and his promise of taxes and his promise of making a better healthcare system, these are all weighing into the things like the stock market, which is all based on futures. But when you look at it, the initiatives that he has tried to take, they haven't really gone anywhere yet. Granted, it hasn't been all that much time, but still things have fallen flat to a certain degree. This is the reason. Because the media's crushing him. They're crushing him. They got him. He's cornered. Fox News and Sean Hannity isn't enough. Dennis Michael Lynch and Laura Ingraham aren't enough. Jay Sekulow isn't enough. They got I've told you this before. If you even took O'Reilly, back when O'Reilly had a show, he had 3 to 4 million people every single night. When you take collectively ABC, NBC, CBS, CNN, and MSNBC, they're at over 30 million per night. It is a losing battle. And then when you take CNN and you compare it to FoxNews.com, those two websites, they beat it by a factor of 2. That means that all those CNN clips go out on the web and everybody's seeing them. When it comes to messaging, the GOP sucks. When it comes to us trying to battle against the liberal narrative, it's almost impossible. Look at the 2 biggest platforms there are on social media. Actually, the 3 biggest platforms on social media: YouTube, Twitter, and Facebook. Liberal, liberal, and liberal. Okay. You know, we put out a message. You know, I'm looking at today, 4,600 people. This should be 16,000 people. I got over 1 million people. They hold it back. We are battling an ocean, an absolute ocean. And so here is what he can do. He throws them on their buttocks if he goes after their number 1 player. And their number 1 player is Barack Obama. The way you go after their number 1 player is you go after their number 2. You get Hillary Clinton. You show the corruption of Hillary Clinton, and I mean really get her. It will tie back to Obama, because the Obama administration was a corrupt administration. No questions asked. We all know it. You go back in, you look at the IRS, you look at all this different stuff. You get Hillary, you tackle him. You get Hillary and you tackle him, the Democrats are done for a very long time when it comes to elections. I know this is somewhat heady, but I'm telling you, he ain't gonna get to where he needs to be with doing executive orders and travel bans that don't go through. He's not gonna get where he needs to be by simply turning around and trying to get a health care bill through, which, oh, by the way, ain't coming through anytime soon. He has got to change the narrative. When he puts them on their heels and he makes them start writing every day in defense of Hillary Clinton, Barack Hussein Obama, he can then get to work and start putting through the policies that he needs to get through, because they only got so much writing that they can do. And instead of slamming every single last thing he tries to do as president, they got to now be in defense mode. They now got to protect. They got to protect. Don't you get it? Don't you get it? This is why he has to do what he has to do. And that is, he has to go after Hillary Clinton and open up all these investigations against her. If he does, he will win. Even if it takes forever, it will be the topic of conversation, and he can get back to doing what he was planning to do in making America great again. Policies, singles, doubles, triples. That's all it takes. That's all it takes. Meanwhile, let me tell you, as a total side note, I find this amazing. Each morning, we put out a poll. You know, you probably take them. The polls are very popular. It's one of our, every morning people go in and, you know, they vote for whatever it is that we put up there. This morning we asked whether or not you were in favor of Trump's draining of the swamp. As far as I'm concerned, this was the draining of the swamp. That was the other important thing what he did yesterday. He sent a very clear message. I'm not afraid of anybody. I'm not afraid of anything. I said I was going to come here and clean up, and you know what? I'm starting with you, Comey, and now somebody else is going to be coming next. That's what he's got to do. Hey, the bell's coming. Big guy upstairs likes what we have to say. Yeah. So anyhow, he's cleaning the swamp. We put out that poll. We knew putting out that poll that most people were going to agree with what President Trump did. So the poll before 9 a.m., we put it out at 7:30, had about almost an 80 to 20% ratio of people for what he did with people. And in fact, it wasn't even no. It went, yes, I agree. Next was uncertain. Next was no. Well, liberal trolls on Twitter got hold of the poll, and they, an account with 1 million followers, just shy of 1 million followers, put out that they wanted them to go basically attack our poll. And so we have been all day watching this poll slowly but surely go from yes, I agree with the president to no, I don't agree with the president. So I ask you, if you haven't taken that poll yet, please take that poll, because obviously these guys are doing whatever they can to try to sway the poll to be to where it looks like Trump made a mistake. And I said that what I was going to do was send the results of this poll to Trump's personal secretary, who's been his personal secretary for 25 years, who I've exchanged emails with before. And so obviously they're trying to make it look a certain way. And that's even what I'm talking about. Talking about the fact that the liberals will do anything they've got to do in order to change the narrative. This is why yesterday was so key. It was such a pivotal move because President Trump has not been able to control the narrative. He has not. You know, when he put out the ban, the Muslim ban, or the travel ban, however it is that you want to call it or shape it or size it, it was done sloppily. It was done wrongly. It was done in a way that's why it's sitting in the courts. You know, that was mistake number one. The second time I thought that he missed an unbelievable opportunity was when he addressed Congress, if you recall. He addressed Congress. It was one of the best speeches I've ever heard in my entire life from a president. One of the best. And then it didn't take a couple of days until he's sitting there tweeting out about Arnold Schwarzenegger's ratings. And he's just like, wow, did you blow that opportunity? This is an opportunity he cannot blow. You don't get opportunities like this, man. This is gift wrapped. You got Obama's guy telling you, get rid of this guy, Comey. Get rid of him. You got a chance right now to pretty much reopen everything. You got one chance at it. You got one chance to just basically take down her, and in doing that first pin, knocking down Obama, knocking down 2020, taking all these Democrats and throwing them on their buttocks. Look at these people. The people who just months ago were calling for Comey's head, were absolutely calling him four-letter words, are now saying that this is unjust, that this is done, this is wrong. We have a constitutional crisis, some of these brainiacs are saying. They're out of their minds. These people are out of their minds. And this is an opportunity to smoke them out. And I hope he realizes what he has to do next. I hope. Where I get my concerns, no joke, is that Ivanka and Jared Kushner are sitting there with their liberal-leaning ways and their friendliness to the Clintons and saying, you know, Dad, we've really got bigger fish to fry. You know, and really, you know, we got rid of Comey. Let's just keep our eye on the ball. Let's just keep marching ahead. Let's get a better FBI, you know, director in there. Let's pick somebody really good. Maybe Trey Gowdy, you know, or whoever it is that we should pick. You know, whatever. Let's just keep moving forward. No. No. That would be a no. That would be a strategic bomb in the baddest way. The strategy here has to be, just like I talk to you all the time about drug cartels. You don't chase the nickel dime pushers and think that you're going to win the war on drugs. You go at the top. You cut the dragon at the head. The dragon of the Democratic Party is corruption. You chop that corruption at the head. And sitting at the head of that corruption is Obama and Hillary Clinton. Comey cannot be trusted. And that means all the work he's done cannot be trusted. And even if that means that President Trump has to stand up there and say, look, next guy comes in, you could do whatever you want. Put anybody you want on me with Russia. You could do whatever you want. And just I want to let you know, we're going back in and looking at this other stuff because we think it could be national security measures that we have to take into consideration here. Protection of the American people and the systems that we have believed in and fought for and died for is at risk here. And we're going back in. You put her and you put Bill back on their heels. You put all these liberal writers and all these Chuck Schumer dirtbags on their heels. You put Obama on his heels. Because let me tell you, they're sitting there. I mean, God, the gall on these people. The gall. The fact that Obama is sitting there giving a speech the other day, getting a Courage Award. Courage Award? This guy's getting a Courage Award? Was it courage that made him lie to the American people time and time again? Where's the courage kick in? Where was the courage? Telling people, telling the Congress to have the courage to fight back against Trump. This guy is delusional. He's telling them, listen, fight against the truth. Because the truth is that Obamacare, the thing that I created, is absolutely falling off the cliff. And nobody has, I mean, we've got the majority of counties in this country are choking on Obamacare. They're choking on it. There's almost nothing left in some cases. And he's telling them have the courage to continue to fight for it? Yeah. In other words, continue pushing towards what I totally wanted. Socialized medicine. Right? Because I put in everything in place for that to happen. Have the courage. He's sitting there because he knows. He knows he's got every late night host. He knows he's got every morning host. He knows he's got every nightly news program, with the exception of Fox and stuff like this. He's got every single last ounce of everything. Saying to him, I'm going to have my back covered by the media. And now her too, getting up there and touting how she'd be president and this and that and all this other different crap. Got to shut that down. That message is only going to get louder. It's only going to get bolder. It's only going to get more annoying. It's only going to get more dangerous as we get closer to the summer passing by. You know, that's the other thing too. When the summer comes, a lot of people have asked me, why is it July 1 that I keep on marking as the day that if I don't see some certain things from the Trump administration, I'm going to start turning on the worry button. And that's because I realize the fact that as of July 1 till August 31, pretty much the world, or at least the country, goes into summer mode. And in summer mode, everything, the TVs go off, the websites stop getting clicked, Congress goes home, everybody's at the beach, everybody's having fun, everybody's doing all this different stuff. This is the last thing anybody's being heard. People don't come back until the kids go back to school. That's when the world wakes up again. That's when the country wakes up again. So I realize the fact that July 1 to me is really the same thing as saying September after Labor Day, you know? So I realize the fact that if that's not happening, we lose that other time. So we need some things really in place. This is it. This is it. He has got to go after Hillary Clinton. He has got to go after Barack Obama. He has to go after them. He has to change the narrative. Has to. It was the greatest thing ever that took place yesterday. It was the first time ever that I felt like he was draining the swamp. It was the first time ever like I felt like he was standing up and saying, I'm that bull in the china cabinet and I'm knocking over everything that needs to be knocked over, because this stuff is all fake. It's all garbage. We're knocking it over and we're rebuilding. I felt that yesterday. I haven't felt that since then. What I have felt are news reports where he's standing next to Paul Ryan. What I felt is hearing that Ivanka Trump is going to lead the conversation on climate control. What I've heard is that we're not getting a wall, we're getting a fence that's already there that doesn't work. What I've heard is the fact that the Senate is going to rip up this healthcare bill and it's going to be all redone months and months away. What I've heard is that the travel ban won't go through. We need this. This was huge. This is what we elected this guy for. And like I said, this opens up the box. This opens up the path for him to break out, because he takes the liberal media and puts them on a story they didn't want to cover. He makes them consumed with this. He puts them on defense and he can play offense. I don't know if his brain thinks like this. I certainly do not. Maybe it does, maybe it doesn't. I haven't been seeing this sort of strategy out of him. I'm hoping this is what he's doing. And if it wasn't the plan, and I know I'm repeating myself, but I'm coming to the end here. If it wasn't the plan, it better be real soon. That being said, if you could go to DennisMichaelLynch.com and take that poll that I talked to you about. Are you happy with the Comey firing? Please do so. If you already took it, don't try to go again. We only let you vote once. Number two, Harlan will be coming on at 3 o'clock. We're trying to get a former FBI guy to weigh in today. I don't know if he's getting successful. We're getting this guy or not. If we don't get him today, we'll try to get him tomorrow. But either way, Harlan on the Hill will be at 3 o'clock. And yes, I told him to stop tapping his pen on the table. It's bothering me too. And that's that. For those of you who continue to donate to us, I appreciate it in a big way. We are now, as of next week, really staffing up. So anything you could do, go to DennisMichaelLynch.com/donate. I appreciate it. And that's that. Tomorrow I'll be in the studio. And my daughter actually starts working for us tomorrow. Yeah. So that's really cool. And that's that. All right. So keep on going to DennisMichaelLynch.com. We have updates all day long. As far as I know, I think the president is actually speaking about this. So I'm going to go home and get back to work and get all the writers getting on stuff. All right. I'll read 2 of your statements here before I go. All right. I'll make it 3, and then I got to go. What do we got? Your remarks about Ivanka are beginning to concern me. Just how liberal is she? Says Barbara. Well, Barbara, she's liberal. She's liberal. You know, she's a liberal. And I always thought that she was going to go into the White House, and I like that idea because we all share one common thing as far as I'm concerned, with the exception of these nutbag terrorists. Every human being has the desire to be loved and to love. And when that's stripped away, or when that's not fed into enough, I think it brings people into a different mindset. There's nothing more blissful than love. And so you could be in the White House and you could be, circled around the brightest minds, Tillerson and Sessions and Mattis. But if you're not also circled around by people who love you, and they're not there being able to share with you in the joys of life, day in and day out, you don't have somebody you could bounce things off. You know, sometimes I'm with Mary. Mary's greatest role is just sometimes playing that of listener, right? I didn't think Ivanka was going to go into the White House and start dictating policy. I didn't think she was going to go into the White House and start taking over meetings about climate change. I thought she was going to go in there and say, Dad, you know, there's really no reason for you to be tweeting about Arnold Schwarzenegger's failure at The Apprentice. American people don't care about it. I know you care about it, but, you know, just voice it off to me. Or, you know, late at night, if Trump's sitting there by himself and he's getting slammed by the press saying that he's a racist and a Nazi and all this other stuff, that he's got somebody there who loves him and says, no, you're not, Dad. I know you're really a good person. That's why I wanted her in the White House. Not for her and Jared to be sitting there and, touting their liberal stuff. Jared Kushner is a liberal. You know, Jared Kushner is, reports are that Kushner and the staff inside the White House had called up Prime Minister Trudeau and said, please call the president and tell him, that you'd like to renegotiate NAFTA. NAFTA needs to go. It's a job killer. That's it. It doesn't need to be renegotiated. It needs to be ripped up. Who needs it? This was the whole thing. It's supposed to be these trade deals. Kushner, he's got the $250 million through Soros. Come on. I mean, that's serious coin, man. These people that they've donated to the Democrats Party before. I mean, this, I'm uncomfortable with it. Yeah. Am I uncomfortable with them as human beings? Not at all. Not at all. Am I uncomfortable with some of their policies? Yeah. Yeah. I also wonder sometimes whether or not we haven't gone after mass deportations because Ivanka may be saying to her dad, oh, that's not the right thing to do. You don't want to break up families. Come on. So I don't know. I could be passing blame on the wrong person. But so far, everything that I've seen, she sits there and says, opening the borders to the Syrians has to be part of the conversation. No, it doesn't. Closing the borders to the Syrians has to be part of the conversation. We're taking in too many refugees. We don't need this. We don't need it. The country is ailing. It's ailing. We need to get it back on track. We've got to take care of our own first, and then we can try to take care of others. Part of the conversation. She doesn't know what she's talking about. With all due respect. Next. I don't think Facebook can handle this many people watching a video, commenting, and sending love icons. Nancy Spencer. Nancy, back in the day, we used to get 10,000, 11,000 people. But it's not just us. It's everybody. It's everybody. I watched, quick little story here. President Trump was in Pennsylvania 2 weeks ago, and he had a live rally. He used to get 45,000 people on his rallies. He's got 25 million likes on Facebook. He had 6,000 people watching. Fox News has 15 million likes. Jeff Sessions was here on Long Island talking about MS-13 the other day. Live feed, 2,500 people. So the reason why we get 3,000 and 4,000 people is because I have the text alerts in the app. If I didn't have that, you guys wouldn't be seeing me in your feed. And you know what the test is? Watch Harlan on the Hill today. You know, yesterday he got 900 people. Now, I don't expect that he's going to get as many people as I do. This is my page. He's up and coming. But I didn't tweet. I didn't put out an alert. So he can only get as many people who are going to be coming in. They didn't know they was going to be there at 3 o'clock. You know, so that's a big reason why it is. But I think Facebook has tapered down these numbers so this way you get less spinning and less interruption. I think. I could be wrong. I don't know. Next. Do you think once Melania gets in the White House, things will really start to change in a positive way? The love factor being circled around with the people he loves? I don't know. I don't know. When I look at Trump, I think Trump gets the most enjoyment out of his kids. You know, I think if he had more time with his boys, I think that would definitely help matter some. You know, I definitely think that will help matter some. You know, look, think of this in your own life. I think about this all the time. All the different times that and this is ultimately why I pulled one of the big reasons why I pulled myself out of further exploring. You know, I've been gone for 2 days. I had to travel. I can't tell you how much I missed my family. I missed my wife. I missed my kids. I missed my pillow. I missed my bed. I missed my recliner chair. I missed everything, you know, but nothing more than just missing my family. You know, I missed one of my kids' games, baseball games. It's heartbreaking, you know, when you're surrounded by your family and you're surrounded by those who you love, all those who you love, you become more of a complete human being. I know I perform better when I'm with my family than when I'm not with my family. And so that's why I want his family in that White House. That's why I want them there. Because he's going to perform at his greatest level. He's filled with the people he loves. And anybody who doesn't recognize that doesn't understand human nature, which is, I just think, ultimately bizarre. All right, last question. All right. Nelly, build that wall. Nelly. Lorena Hamilton, love our president, but Melania always looks so distant. She kind of reminds me of Princess Diana. I don't know. I'm not going to start to evaluate somebody else's marriage without knowing, you know. All right, what do we got here? Last one. Give me a good one. Connie says, watch this video again later. DML, post it later, share. Yeah, I mean, later on we'll put this on the DennisMichaelLynch.com website. We can't do cell phone simulcasts to YouTube and to DML, only on this one, all right? All right, that's it. It's 12:30, been on for an hour. Dennis, can you do that, or is it okay for them? You better, your family, and that's okay. You fulfill the role you are destined to fill. I don't know. Sorry. Spinning like crazy. Hate it. Guess I'm wrong on that one. What about his 2 older sons? Are they liberal? I don't think they're liberal. I think they're more conservative. DML, this walk and talk was very informative. I love the way you explain things to us. Great job. Yeah, just let me conclude on this for those of you who came in later, because the way I started, I'll finish. The narrative by the Democrats is that Trump fired Comey because of the Russia connection and because of the investigation that Comey was spearheading. And as I explained to you, that is a completely false narrative. That's like saying if Comey resigned, or for health reasons, or decided tomorrow he was going to retire, that he couldn't do either because he's doing the investigation. No, he hands it down to the next guy. He hands it down to the team that's already been running it, these competent people who are in the FBI. Those are the people who are going to continue to do it. It doesn't get thrown out. That's like saying because the police chief got fired that the cops can't hand out parking tickets anymore. What are you talking about? It's business as usual. Going to get a new guy in. It's like saying that, you know, the New England Patriots can't play football on Sunday because Bill Belichick is sick. It doesn't make any sense. Everything that has been gathered to this point, which has really come out to be zero, is still in place. People still go in today and do their job. They're just going to end up having a new guy in charge or a new gal in charge. That's all it is. But this is the narrative they want to pull because they need to pull something. The Democrats understand that it's all about the narrative. If you control the narrative, you control the direction of the country. If you don't control the narrative, you don't control the direction of the country because you're so busy chasing somebody else's tail. And that is half, if not all, of what the hell the problem is in this country right now. You tell me, how in heaven's name do we have the presidency, the Senate, and the House, and we can't move the needle forward? You tell me. You know what it is? The narrative. Because we're so busy fighting the tide of BS. The infighting is so much. The president himself gets so caught up in all of this stuff that's put out. Fake news, fake headlines, misleading this, misleading that, that the eye goes off the ball. Yeah. It's like, go to a Little League game, right? Think about this in your life. Go to a Little League game, and a little kid's at bat. And while the little kid's at bat, and he's good, the kids on the other team start going, he's no better, he's no better, he's no better, he's no better, he's no better. That's not to encourage their pitcher. That's to distract the batter. And the batter sits there and he listens to that and he strikes out because he gets distracted. It's the guy who's able, or the gal who's able to get up to the plate and block that out that will still get up there and be effective. That's all they're doing. The Democrats are just yelling at Trump and the Congress, like, hey, they're no better, they're no better, they're no better, no better. And now all of a sudden, with this Comey thing, and if we turn around and do what I laid out, investigating, reopening these different things, changing the narrative, going after the next swamp guy, you put them on their heels, they're suddenly not saying that you're not the batter. They're too busy trying to defend what it is that they believe in, this ridiculous liberal ideology put forward by people like Clinton, Sanders, and Obama. That's it. You go after these Schumers. You go after all of these corrupt pieces of buttocks, and you win. All right, last one. You're so right, DML. I wish everyone had the intelligence, integrity, and common sense that you have. Thank you for all that you're doing to change the narrative. I don't even know why we go any further than that. Know when to say when, DML. When is now. Okay. God bless you. God bless our troops, our president. God bless these United States. And God bless the new Deputy Attorney General. What a letter. See you later. Nah, they're not beeping at me. They're beeping at one of their illegal friends, I guess. So anyway, it's gonna be a little noisy. I got landscapers coming up here. But anyway, whatever this thing is, truck without a muffler. Where are the liberals? Where's all the pollution hounds? Anyway, I had told you on a Monday that the next day, if you recall, that there would be a huge change in narrative, that it was all going to be about the Electoral College. And that's exactly what happened the very next day. Then I also told you that Trump, this was like 2 days prior, Trump would actually take the lead in his first national major poll. And that wound up coming out true too. And there's a couple of reasons why I knew this stuff. We'll get to that later if we have time. It's not as important. But those were pivotal walk and talks, because I think for those of you who didn't know me for a long time, you sort of said, well, this guy's got his... I knew exactly what he was tapping into, and the only way you could really tap into that is if you go out and you meet people. And I don't mean in a studio like most of these guys, and it's not a knock on somebody like a Sean Hannity. I think the world of Sean, but he sits at his desk, you know, and there's a difference between sitting at your desk and reading your emails and your messages and going out and actually meeting with people and listening to what they have to say. And that's why I always knew Trump was tapping into something. Okay, all that said, I let the crowd grow up here. I guarantee you that by the time we're done off the walk and talk today, you'll come away hearing things from me that you haven't heard yet. And last night, when all this Comey stuff was going down at 9 o'clock, I broke my little rule. I watched Fox News last night because of what was going on here. I watched Tucker at 8. I switched over to CNN at 9, and I went back to Fox and watched Hannity at 10. And all along for 3 hours, my poor wife was like, will you please? Good morning or afternoon. It's morning on the West Coast. It's actually technically morning right now on the East Coast too, although we are creeping towards noon. So that would make it afternoon, right? Yep. So anyway, very, 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 very important walk and talk today. Maybe the most insightful walk and talk that we've had since going all the way back, if you will, to the time before the election, when I was coming out and explaining to you, long before anybody else, including anybody on Fox News, how it is that the narrative concerning the Electoral College was all baloney. In fact, I had come out and told you two things, if you recall. I had told you, it was on a Monday, I think, and I said on Tuesday, tomorrow, I guarantee you that tomorrow you will see who's beeping at me, finger on the pulse of the media and the American people, what's taking place, and rightfully so, I do. And I always knew that Trump would win this election. I've also led you through other different things. Remember the whole crazy counts done by Stein and all this other different stuff. I have always led you to that point. And you know that I will be highly critical of the president. Sometimes I may even go a little bit overboard, according to Miss Mary. But that's because my passion for the American people and to solve these problems that we have, you know, it's pretty much got my every thought every single day. And because I have the unique experience of traveling the country and actually exploring some of this stuff on my own, I always understood what it was that people were thinking. And that's why when I hear people say, you know, you could be Brit Hume or whoever it may be on Fox or any one of the stations, oh, Trump tapped into something that the rest of us missed. I wasn't missed. Give me your perspective on this. I said, no, we're going to wait for the end because I want you to watch this with me and realize the fact that everything these guys talk about 2 days from now is what I tell you at 11:01 Eastern time. She said, okay. And she said, boy, you hit it. Okay. First, what we're going to do, we're going to break down this Comey thing in a couple of different ways. First, we're going to break it down from the way the Democrats look at this. And I want to debunk their entire argument from the get-go and then talk to you about why and how this is so important, brilliant, and an opportunity that we have not had. Okay? So, because I think what happened yesterday could be, if he's smart, the turning point in this presidency. I absolutely believe it can be the turning point. It was the most significant, important day, what happened yesterday. But first, let's take a look at the Democrats. And remember, like I said, I watched CNN, as painful as it was, from 9 o'clock to 10 o'clock, simply